Everybody assumes that these dogs are aggressive. Today I'm gonna show you mistakes you might be doing that makes them aggressive. So let's get right into it. What's up, Bo? These examples I'm about to give you are not your ordinary, you need to train your dogs, that kind of stuff. This is stuff that happens to dogs in their younger stages of their life that could affect them later on, and we have to deal with the consequences. So number one is experiencing aggression from other dogs. Have you ever noticed when you have a puppy that's very little and they get attacked by another dog, or another dog snaps at them in any kind of situation, then that puppy might be prone to having a reaction towards other dogs because they experience very early in their life that this dog attacked me and now I'm on my defense mode. And that is something that a lot of people overlook. It's very important when they're young. They're obviously getting socialized, but they cannot experience any kind of trauma that young of an age because it could fire back and they might be prone to that kind of reaction to snap at other dogs. Now, number two is when you have a dog that is showing aggression to supposed threats or alleged threats, but they're not a threat at all. For instance, if I go over to my mom's house and the dog is just chilling by her, I walk in, I'm a big man, and the dog starts to feel uncomfortable. Then they start growling and snarling at me, and my mom, she doesn't do this, but let's say she, rewards that kind of behavior, like sick 'em or get 'em, but she's just playing. What this does is it causes emotional triggers in your dog's brain to react that way every time you have someone like me or someone, similar to my build, or even men in general. This is just an example, but when you have fake threats and your dog is being rewarded for growling, then that could become an issue. It's important not to make your dog feel uncomfortable that way every single time. They need to know what a real threat is and what to do in that certain situation instead of, growling at every person, because if you start just letting them growl at everyone, then it could lead to other stuff like snapping at a kid or snapping at a guy when he's trying to pet your dog, even though, it's a tricky situation, but just something to think about. Next one on my list is roughhousing from strangers or children. Now this is more, towards the puppies, because when you have an older dog, sometimes older dogs know the limits. I'm not saying all the time, but if your dog is getting roughhoused by a stranger, then they don't know what the limits are. If they're actually playing with them, they could take it to a whole nother level. Even with children, if a child is pulling on the tail, pulling on their collar, pulling on their ears, this could be making them build up towards aggression and actually snapping towards a stranger or a kid. So that roughhousing, there needs to be a limit on all playtime, even if it's another dog, for instance. So any kind of roughhousing, you need to have a stop or tell your dog when to stop, and they need to know that cue if they're taking it too far. Another one that's often overlooked is putting your dog in high crowded, stressful situations. The one example that I could think of right away is a dog park. Imagine a puppy or a dog that's never been there before and you just throw them inside of a dog park with so many different type of breeds, so many different type of personalities in these dogs. This could definitely have your dog draw reaction towards other dogs, especially if they have a negative experience in that. So instead of training them the positive way and socializing them, you're actually doing them a disservice and reversing their socialization, because they're now prone to reacting towards these dogs, especially if they get into fights. If there's too much rough play inside of these dog parks and anything in that nature. So it's important to socialize them, of course, but don't just throw your dog in high crowded situations. Even in, a high crowded room full of people, that could be very stressful for them too. Imagine, your dog is just chilling and all of a sudden 30 of your family members just walk inside the door. Now your dog is just bouncing off everybody, trying to, say hi to this uncle, say hi to that favorite person. And then they start getting stressed and building up, and then it starts leading towards, snapping at people, gnawing on people's fingers, things in that nature. You want to take it slow with them, build up their training, socialization, and I promise you, they will start to be able to handle these, but you have to take it slow. Now, leaving your dog with new visitors or new dogs that they've never been around before can also draw some aggression out of them, especially if that person or new visitor don't know how to interact with your dog, or your dog is in the early stages and needs more training. You got to think about it. Us as humans, we are not, comfortable with everybody we meet. Energies don't mix with everybody. Some people give off bad first impressions. things in that nature. This is the exact same thing for your dog, and your dog is not, you know, it's not mandatory that they have to like everybody, but they do have to be well socialized and trained and not bring out aggression. But when you leave your dog with a new person or dog, then you don't know how that dog is going to react with them. So it's important that you're present and you make sure that, you know, they're acting well behaved, that other person or dog is acting well behaved, and they're able to mesh together without, you know, any kind of conflict or fighting over objects or growling at that new person. It's important that your dog is balanced and not showing any of these signs, and you need to be there to see if there are any signs. The one thing that this channel is vouched for is making sure your dog is getting enough exercise. If they're not getting enough exercise, then they could be bouncing off the walls inside of your home, and this could bring out too much rough play, a lot of scratching, a lot of, you know, biting on things, destroying the house, you know, gnawing at your, you know, hands, you know, anything in that nature. These are large breed dogs that we're dealing with. And if you don't give them enough exercise, then they're not getting that release that they need physically and mentally. It's very important that you keep up with that. Next one on my list is allowing fearful reactions to escalate. So if your dog is already in that state of mind where they're fearful and they're having a reaction to somebody and you're just letting them stay in there and figure it out themselves, this is a big no-no, because they're just gonna escalate. They're gonna defend themselves, and there's only one way to defend themselves, and that's with biting. So it's important in this state of mind, you need to take your dog out of that situation, distract them, and you have to keep socializing and working with professional trainers in order to get this out of them. If you let it escalate, then your dog is gonna only know one behavior, which is keep on escalating till that, you know, threat is backed off, and the reason why they back it off is just by biting. So it's very important. So if you like this video, make sure you check that out. I have another video to show you the first steps you need to do in order to train your dog, you know, the basic stuff that you need to get down right away. I'll put that at the end screen right now. You go and click on that, go make sure you look at it, and I will see you guys on the next video. I'm out.